Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is today, the 13th day of June. First day since the NBA Finals have ended. Got a great show on tonight. Jeffrey Deskovic will be on 30 minutes past the hour. Always a great guest. Going to talk about the finals. Got some questions for him about the finals. Also, going to talk about Stefon Diggs, John. Stefon Diggs and why he's a cancer and why I have more issues with the coaching staff and management rather than him. I'll get into that and everything. Also, congratulations to a former guest on the program. Maybe I can get him back. Various tiers, the University of Tennessee baseball team. They're going to Omaha in the World Series. So let's get our first and only break out of the way, and we'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Alrighty then. Okay, now let's get started here. Denver wins the first championship in 47 years, the only championship in franchise history. As far as the game, I thought Denver was pressing a little bit early. You're at home. I noticed that Peyton Manning was in the stadium. I noticed that Sean Payton, the coach of the Broncos, was there along with Russell Wilson. Really packed house. I felt like the Denver was pressing early in this game. I thought Miami may show up, possibly may beat them in Denver. Denver's kind of looking ahead to the parade and everything, and that simply didn't happen. Obviously, they did keep it within that point spread. Point spread was like 9. I think they won by like 5, right? So either way, I had to look at this stat 2 or 3 times, Corey, and I wanted to make sure that I'm not seeing something wrong, that I misread something, that I mishear something. But no, this is true. Nikola Jokic, the Joker, scored 600 points in this playoff run, exactly, according to ESPN. And that's first of all players in the playoffs. He had 269 rebounds. That's first in the NBA playoffs. He had 190 assists in all the playoffs. That's first. He's the only player in the history. Guards, Magic Johnson, Jordan, Stockton, Kareem, Wilt, Jerry West. Nobody had that. Jerry West once won the Finals MVP without winning the Finals one year. So to say that this is, this is was one of the greatest individual accomplishments of all time, and the guy's so modest. And the way I would describe this whole team and championship run in one word, and it's something that the other 29 teams, I believe, should take note, is humility. There's so much humility on this team. Listen to the Joker, after he wins the championship, this is why he's still in the arena minutes after he wins the championship, talking to the ESPN reporter. Listen up.
You are an NBA champion, Nikola. How does that feel?
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
The job is done. We can go home now. Like he's clocking into work. So then later on, they goes to the podium and talks to he was asked about looking forward to the parade, which is Thursday, technically 3 days away from the game played last night. Listen to the Joker at the podium afterwards.
You said after the Lakers win, you said you were surprised that you didn't feel more. So I'm curious what you are feeling right now, and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
When is parade? I need to go home. And that reminded me of one of the funniest lines in all of cinema here. And this was from Forrest Gump after running from 3 miles, trying to get over the breakup with Jenny. And I'm going to play that off YouTube here in just a second.
Anyway, like I was saying, I had a lot of company. My mom always said,
Here we go. Forrest Gump. After he decided to stop
pretty
running.
tired. Think I'll go home now.
If the Joker was from Greenbow, Alabama, said he wants to go home now. You know, again, this is a team that is about humility. Jamal Murray, speaking with the owner of the Stan Kroenke, has been a heck of an owner. Man, he has been a well of an owner. Owner of the Rams, won Super Bowl 2 years ago. So did the Denver Avalanche, won 2 Super Bowls a year ago. Jamal Murray, who, by the way, is in an elite company, fourth player in NBA, fourth player to average 20 points and 10 assists in the final series. The others are LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Magic Johnson. What kind of company is that? Jamal Murray tore his ACL and came back 539 days later, and he tweets out, "About time." This is him talking to the owner, Stan Kroenke, after the game. If I can find it here. I've got 1,000 different tweets here, folks. A lot of other stuff happened today, and I had to get it all in. They're throwing each other into the pool. Here it is. Jamal Murray.
Way to get you one, baby. I know. Way to get you one. Thank you. I appreciate you staying patient with me. Oh, no. I appreciate you staying patient with me. Y'all could have done it. We got a different route. I appreciate you staying with me, man. We got it done.
Patience is a virtue, you know. Corey says the meek shall inherit the earth. I tell you what, man, this is a patient team. They got a patient owner. They were patient with Mike Malone. Do you say, well, can they win again? Listen to what Mike Malone said. People think he's cliche-ish and yada yada. This guy says almost exactly what I'm thinking sometimes about taking this victory away from Miami, who is not going to give in. I told you they wouldn't give in. They didn't give in to the last dog dies. They did not give in. They fight you to the very end. And he said that to his team. I've got the sound here. Listen to him after the game here. Mike Malone, who you can't help pull for a guy like this. This is after the game. The champagne is still on his hat. He's got his championship hat on. Mike Malone.
Pat Riley said something many years ago I used to have it up on my board when I was a head coach in Sacramento, and I talked about the evolution in this game and how you go from a nobody to an upstart. You go an upstart to a winner, and a winner to a contender, and a contender to a champion. And the last step is after a champion is to be a dynasty. So we're not satisfied.
You really need that. You really need that. This team's drinking a lot. Joker can't wait to get back home. Forrest over there, he cannot wait to get back home because he's going to be treated like a king in Serbia. He's got a really beautiful wife, got a kid. That's good. Maybe he won't be feeling himself too much. Only thing that would concern me is maybe he gains too much weight over the summer and he gets too relaxed on his laurels. But you hear what Mike Malone says. I'm from that Pat Riley school of art. Don't rest on your laurels. Let's work our butts off and continue turning this thing into a monster if we all come together as a team. Of course, that was a line out of oh God, I forgot the name of the band. Pink Floyd. Cigar. Have a cigar. Turn this thing into a monster if we all come together as a team. Mad New Yorker, this wins. Just wins the opposite of Al Davis. Biggest winner, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, DeAndre Jordan. And I was looking at a stat on him, too. I retweeted this out, Carlos, now that you mentioned it. Go back to my timeline here. DeAndre Jordan was drafted in, I want to see, let me make sure I got this right. Make sure I got this. DeAndre Jordan was drafted 35th overall out of Texas A&M in 2008. In year 15, wins a championship. You know, he beats out Chris Paul and DeAndre and Blake Griffin. Who would have thought? I thought maybe Chris Paul would end up getting that one. So this is a team of humility. This is a team. You say, can they go back? Well, that they're saying the right things to get back, and also, listen. Let me make studies say flaw shortcoming. Okay. They got Aaron Gordon, the Joker, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. are all under 30 years old. And they're all under contract for 2 years before they got something on the contract. The Joker and Murray are signed up for like 4 years. So they're in good shape, man. They're under 30. They got a good coach here. And you got the guys all signed up here. So I do believe they can go on a run here. They can definitely go on a run. Obviously, you got to stay healthy. You got to catch breaks. But, you know, studies say you win over people with telling them about a flaw or shortcoming early in a meeting than over your talents or attributes. This is a likable champion, you know. The Joker says, hey, nobody thought, you know, that the fat boy would win. You know, he admits that he had some weight problems. Jamal Murray, he tweets out, it's about time. He comes back after 500 days of injury, you know. Aaron Gordon was an underachiever, traded away from Orlando. Okay, so the Joker did not get he didn't get the MVP this year. He was thought to be overrated, not good at defense. There's a lot of flaws there. There's a lot of criticisms. This is not a super team. Your two main players are not even American born. I'm going to make a bigger point about that. Tomorrow, I'm going to dig a little deeper into this. Jason Whitlock wrote an interesting article. I don't agree 100% with Whitlock's takes, but I do think that he puts a lot of thought in what he says, and he believes it to the bottom of his heart. He's not a phony. And I'll have a take on that about the foreign-born players and globalism in the NBA tomorrow's show. And with the extension, Butler seemed like, okay. Yeah, and as far as Miami, that's something I might have to think about and stew over. I think Miami is a team that Dwayne Wade's still affiliated with. I've seen him on the sidelines. And I think that Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, even Eric Spoelstra, they have to sell Miami. Because Patrick Beverley, when he was asked about, he made a comment. He said 50% of the players in this league do not love basketball. And he says a lot of those players are stars. A lot of those players are stars. So a reporter asked him, they said, can you reiterate this? Are you sure 50%? He said, I was being nice. This AAU culture, a lot of players don't want to work that hard. If you ask me, as much respect I got LeBron as a player, I don't think he wanted to work that hard. He wanted Spoelstra gone. And Pat Riley said, no. Dwayne Wade said, man, you got to trust me, man. We're already signed up here. You got Bosch down here from Toronto. So that's another topic for another day and probably tomorrow. Switching gears here, because I've got Jeffrey Devskovic coming on in about 15 minutes. We'll go back to the NBA. Pretty interesting story out of Buffalo. Now, Stephon Diggs, John, if you're out there, just tell nothing against my friends up in Niagara Falls, Niagara Falls area, Toronto, Buffalo area, whatnot. But Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver for the Buffalo Bills, is a cancer. He is a cancer, folks. And today, Sean McDermott said he is very concerned because he blew off mandatory minicamps. Okay? This is supposed to be an in-house issue. This is an in-house issue with this team. Listen to Ian Rappaport said today, this caught a little bit of fire this afternoon, besides all the championship talk. Listen to Ian Rappaport today on NFL Network.
More information leads to the changing narrative and the changing situation, our understanding of what's happening. Here's the latest on where things stand with Stephon Diggs. And the last time I joined you, we talked about how the Bills had said that Diggs was not there for practice today, which has been confirmed from the reporters there. He was there yesterday, was there this morning, then left and was not there for practice. I've recently talked to Adisa Bakari, the longtime agent for Stephon Diggs, who told me a couple things. First of all, he found, in general, that press conference answer that Sean McDermott gave to be a little odd, to say the least, considering the conversations that he has said were happening behind the scenes, including meeting with McDermott, with Brandon Beane, the general manager, with Stephon Diggs' position coach. He talked about an in-house situation that they are on the way to resolving. Sounded optimistic there that the situation will be resolved, but it does sound like that is why this whole situation has occurred, because it is as yet unspecified in-house issue. I asked him, is it contract related? He said it is not contract related, which makes sense considering Stephon Diggs is set to make $24 million this year, and his contract was restructured before the season with a more than $22.5 million signing bonus, so basically cannot trade him. So anyway, not contract related, and according to Bakari, should be on the way to being resolved, which is all good news because it's June, and if it takes a...
Yeah, right. He said he's very concerned. They're covering for him. They're trying to cover up the cancer. I personally watched him. I'm an outsider. I watch Red Zone, and I've seen the commentators put the camera on Diggs complaining to Sean McDermott about getting the football. He walked out on the team after the Cincinnati loss, okay? He was traded to this team because he forced his way out of Minnesota. The last year with Minnesota, he's complaining about getting the ball in a game that was already over with. Minnesota had the game won. Major upset on the road against a Drew Brees-led Saints team, and he's complaining about getting the football in a game that they're winning, and the game is practically over with. It's about Stephon Diggs. And what have I said about these diva receivers? If you got a window, and Buffalo has a window, they've made some really good moves this year. But other than this, if you got a window and you get a guy like Diggs that you know has baggage, 2 years max, man, 2 years. And then they start reverting back to who they are. You know, this is very much, you say, what stage cancer is he? Well, stage 1 is complaining about getting the ball when you're up in the game. Stage 2, more complaining, not isolated incidents, things called on TV. Stage 3 is where Buffalo is. He's walking out on practice. He's walking out on team meetings. He's embarrassing the team publicly. He's embarrassing the coach. You said, what's stage 4? What's stage 4 cancer? Stage 4 cancer is taking your clothes off in front of the on national TV and quitting on the field, or fighting a teammate, or being withheld from punching a coach, or actually fighting a coach. That is Antonio Brown. That is Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens pushed his way out of San Francisco. Okay, he's another cancer. Got a big raise. Got extension. The Eagles. Less than a year later, he's bad-mouthing the quarterback there because he wants another raise. He's hassling him on the sideline. The camera picks it up. He gets in a fight with Hugh Douglas in the locker room. They finally move off of him. Okay? Who else is this kind of guy? Keyshawn Johnson. Great year with John Gruden. Year 1, 2002, win the Super Bowl. The next year, he is following John Gruden around like he's going to fight him. He said, what about Tom Brady? He does that. Tom Brady says a few words, bark back and forth. You're in the middle of a game. I get that. But when you're physically trying to impose and intimidate and menace a player, bully a coach, bully a player, a teammate, that's stage 4. I blame Brandon Beane, because this is the stuff we know. This is the stuff we know about Diggs. I blame Brandon Beane, the general manager, and Sean McDermott. They let this cancer, and that's what he is, grow in the locker room. All right? They let him grow in the locker room. He will destroy your team. And you can't do nothing. I mean, if it's at stage 4, cancer player like that, you have to do what you have to either trade him for nothing or cut. The Raiders had to cut Antonio Brown. It was so bad because he charged Mike Mayock. You know, he's blowing off practice. I mean, Antonio Brown, this seems like Antonio Brown when he was at Pittsburgh. Remember when he was when he went Facebook Live during Mike Tomlin's meeting after a playoff win at Kansas City, and everybody heard he went Facebook Live, so everybody heard what Mike Tomlin had to say about New England and everything prior to the game. No respect for his teammates, no respect for Mike Tomlin. All about Antonio Brown. Stephon Diggs is a me guy. Often receivers, these divas, you can see it early and you can see it often. You have to do away with these cancers because it eats away at your team, you know, and that's what he is. He's a cancer. Let me tell you something else. People like what A.J. Brown did. I like A.J. Brown. Pretty good player. Great player. Former Tennessee Titan. But at the end of that Giant game, they're up like 47-7 against the Giants. He's on the sideline complaining about getting the ball. It gets caught on camera, and he says, hey, I'm not a diva receiver. Mark my word, the Giants have a stage 1 cancer on their team. Within 2 years or less, So I was telling Philly Sports Guy, I said, listen, man, you start to see that now. Think about when other receivers are getting more money than him because his contract's still and other players are starting to get paid and you can't afford to extend him anymore. Think about that. Think about that. Now, receivers are needed. They are needed. But often when you see, and then not just receivers, other players, but it's mainly receivers that you see this out of. I just named them. Keyshawn Johnson, Terrell Owens, Antonio Brown's probably the worst. I didn't think anybody would be worse than Terrell Owens. But some of the off-field stuff with Antonio Brown, he takes that award as the worst, most toxic player of all time. There'll be somebody to stop it. And I think it could be Diggs. They're right there in stage 3. He's starting to undermine the coach publicly. And even Josh Allen says, you know, hey, I got his back and everything. But he also says it's a communication thing. Other words, let me make sure I got this right. I don't want to misquote the man. Let's see. Josh Allen said that there were things that he could have done better, and maybe as an organization, there are things they have communicated better. Allen declined to go into what he could be doing differently, saying that he'll keep that air quote in-house. Diggs is a cancer, folks. I'm telling you what, if Dallas, for example, if Dallas says, listen, we got his brother on our team, we want one more receiver. I said, man, you give me a 5th round pick and you take this guy, I would do it. You know, and maybe I'd take Brandon Cooks off I don't know. I'd give them a pick for CeeDee Lamb. That's how bad I'd want to get rid of this guy. I'll give you Diggs, and I'll give you a draft pick for CeeDee Lamb. How about that? Get that cancer off. You're in stage 3. Stage 4, you have to cut a guy and take the loss. And his dead cap is like in the 20s right now. You know, they owe him a lot of money. I'm just telling you, he's a cancer, and I blame. But when he did that crap last year, he's had 2 or 3 incidents that I saw personally on TV last year, not counting the playoff game. They should have moved him, and they could have got another receiver in the draft. But now they're holding their breath. They can salvage this situation. But that right there may be the very thing that does not get them to the Super Bowl. That plus McDermott not developing a running game. Bad New Yorker says, I keep telling you that this team is in need of a lot of help. They need to run the ball first and set up receiver. Well, yeah, they need a better running game, and they need to get rid of Stephon Diggs. He's a cancer, and he is growing. And I hate to use that word. I know it's serious and all that, and it's just sports, but I think that's the way to describe him. He's a me guy. He loves him some Stephon Diggs. And those guys are good for about 2 years. And then when things start to go south, other people start to get money. You're not winning at the highest level. They were in the divisional game last year. When you're not doing that, one of them 2 things are simply he's just not getting the ball enough. Even if you are winning, they're going to cause problems, and they're not going to be worth their production. Trust me on this. I've seen this with again, Antonio Brown, with Keyshawn Johnson, and with Tampa, and of course, how can we forget Terrell Owens? You know, so anytime now I'll have. I hope I gave him the. We'll have Jeffrey Deskovic come on the program, but going back to the NBA there, I definitely think Denver could do this thing again. I think it's good for the league. I mean, who would have thought that Milwaukee Bucks would have ever won a championship? You know, who would have thought the Denver Nuggets? I thought that from what we seen, what I seen 25 years ago, Jerry Sloan, Karl Malone, John Stockton, I thought they would win before the Utah Jazz. And here he is, Jeffrey Deskovic. Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm great. Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Man, hey, look, man, this has been a really good – I know this was a 5-game series, but it felt like every game was close.
Yeah, it really did. Look, I don't believe that the indication of the closeness of a series is necessarily reflective of, did it go 7 games? Did it go 6? I mean, this was an ultra competitive. This was really, it almost reminds me of a long time ago. I'm going to date myself. Back in 1991, when hey Corey shouts me out. Hi Corey, nice of you to join again. It reminds me of 1990-91. The Philadelphia 76ers with Sir Charles got swept by the Knicks, but like all those games came down to the last 2 minutes of the game, and I felt that was a competitive.
Man, you got
series.
A memory.
I do. So this was a competitive series, so many different things. I mean, focusing in on Miami for a minute, in terms of the series, not the overall context. I mean, I feel like in hindsight, this was a series. I don't want to say they should have won. I mean, they were the underdogs. Denver was the number 1 seed, and Miami very much was that, little train that could with all those reclamation projects. But at the same time, when you think about how terrible their backcourt was, Strus and was it Vincent essentially not showing up. I mean, at one point, they were like 2 for 16, something wild like that.
Right.
If they could have gotten
last series, not so much in this one.
That's what I'm saying. Well, in Denver, I'm saying if they could have even just shot like 35 or 40%, maybe a ball game or two might have gone the Heat's way, and it's a different. It's not 4-1 anymore. It's. It's 2-2, it's 3-2. I mean, I feel like at least one of those games could, and now we're going back to Miami for Game 6. I mean, look, it might have went 4-1 Miami. It might have.
That is true, man. I thought it would go. Obviously I picked it to go 5, but after they won Game 2, I thought maybe it could go 6 for Denver, or it could go like you said, 6 for Miami. Do you think Miami is such a hardcore culture? I was talking about this before you got on, of hard work, discipline. They're really, really into the team concept down there. And Patrick Beverley, I think I mentioned this before, said 50% of the players don't love basketball. Then somebody asked him about it again the other day. He said, I was being generous. Do you think they can get another star to play with Jimmy Butler?
Yes, I do. I do think that. I think there's an opportunity to get Damian Lillard.
Okay.
I think that would be championship. And again, they've got the assets. I mean, they've got Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Strus, Felton. They could throw Caleb. They
draft picks.
They could use some draft picks. So maybe they could give, 2 good players and a pick or two to, would be a good compensation. Because, I mean, the players they get are players that can play. So I think that I think that he could fit. I mean, again, I feel like they could have won the series. At the same time, I still have the unmistakable feeling that they're one player away. Yeah. Not necessarily a star player away, but one even mid-level. Someone that give you consistent 10 or 12, but certainly
Aaron Gordon or Michael Porter Jr. way.
Yeah, right. Like yes, yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. So Now, I mean, in terms of thinking about just historically, I mean, lots of history to think about. I mean, so many wonderful Denver Nuggets players. I mean, I remember watching Alex English and Fat Lever.
I think it was Colin Cowherd and Jason McIntyre. They had him on the other day.
Wow.
I forgot they got to the playoffs in the 80s, didn't they? I didn't watch much.
Yeah, no, they did. They did. It's just they ran in. They used to, they ran into the buzzsaw known as Showtime, and the Nuggets had mini Magic, Lafayette Lever. The problem is that the Lakers had Magic. It wasn't
right.
anything.
They had the Magic. Now let me ask you this, man. The Joker.
Yeah.
This crazy record he's got. Most points, most assists, most rebounds. Is he the best player in the league? Now,
yes.
Giannis, you look at Giannis, you say, well, maybe Giannis don't have the kind of help that he has. He's a little bit better defender. My thing is, I do think that Joker, with that record alone, 2 MVPs, I think he's the best player in the league today, right?
I think he's the best player in the league. He certainly was the best player in the league this year.
Yeah.
For sure. And one factor really, and yes, I would give Giannis the edge over the Joker in strictly in terms of defense.
Yes.
But in terms of the element that really puts him over the top is that Giannis is not a pass master.
Not like this guy. He's like a quarterback out there.
He's not racking up all these assists. He's not canning from 3. I feel like sometimes Giannis is even. The Joker's even bringing the ball down the court. I mean, think about it. If the teams were even and you had to win a game tomorrow, it's for all of them. It's for your life, and everything is even. And now you got to pick one player. I mean, would you really pick Elton Brand over the Joker? Would you really pick Giannis over the Joker? Would you even?
That is true.
Pick LeBron? Would you even pick LeBron? It's a 1-game series. I mean, I at this point in their career, I'd rather have Giannis than LeBron.
Right, and like I said today, and I had to read that 2 or 3 times. Nobody, Jeffrey, in the history, not Magic, not Jordan, not Kareem, Bill Russell, had led the league during the playoffs, most assists, rebounds, and points. That's unbelievable. He got 600 points.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm basing. I agree with you, and that's what I'm basing my assessment. That I think he is the best player in the league. I mean, certainly his passing. Certainly his passing and a little bit on the defense when I compare him to a Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
He was a better passer. He was a better passer than Nowitzki was. And I think he's a little bit better of a shot blocker than Nowitzki was.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I'm still digesting this. I just think it's great for the league. How about that? The last two of the last 3 years, would you have ever thought that Milwaukee and Denver won a championship?
No.
Think about how good Utah was.
I really would not have. I mean, that's like saying, are the Indiana Pacers, are the Pacers ever going to win one?
Orlando
Magic, right? The Timberwolves, more playoff frustration than a little bit there in terms of them. But even thinking about, Miami, I mean, looking back on it, it always hurts to lose the championship. You never know if you're going to get back. You never know that. Reggie Miller never got back.
No.
Barkley went once. Never got back. Going to football, which I know you're big on too. Boomer Esiason, I remember hearing him call.
Dan Marino.
Yeah, they went once. Yeah, Boomer said, "Well, for my first Super Bowl appearance and my only Super Bowl appearance," and he chuckled it off. But that was kind of a real thing. You never know when you're going to get the chance to do it again. So I mean, it's disappointing in one aspect. But on another, they got all the way to the finals. That hasn't been done before, except for the Knicks.
Right.
The Knicks did that. So, but along the way, to win Game 7 on the road in Boston after losing the heartbreaker, which would have crushed most lesser team. No, actually, I want to just correct the Mad New Yorker. Yes, Charles Barkley went with the Suns. Yes, he joined the Houston Rockets.
But not the finals.
That Rocket team, unfortunately, never made the finals. The two Rocket teams that went were the 94 Rockets, which won, and the 95 differently configured, mainly minus Otis Thorpe and addition of Drexler. But no, Sir Charles and the Rockets, they went as far as the Western Conference Finals. They fell in 6 games. When Drexler missed that layup in Game 6, he took it a little bit too quick, and then Stockton with like 2-3 seconds.
Oh, that shot by Stockton was awesome.
Remember
Barkley's like, this guy's so underrated. I remember that.
But
97, right?
Stockton and Howard Isley, you know, we were talking a few appearances before. We were talking about the Trailblazers when they lost. Drexler and the company lost to the Bulls, and you know, we were reflecting. Well, we still don't understand how Terry Porter didn't get it done against John Paxson. But by analogy, I don't see how Stockton and Isley, you know, didn't just like, you know, dominate Kerr. You know, I don't that they were supposed to, you know, wear them out. But but putting Miami, the thing in a I mean, it was you have to consider it. I believe you have to consider it to have been a successful season in the Heat for the Heat, the same way we considered the Lakers season to have been successful.
Huge turnaround. That's why I keep telling people. I mean, they were 2-10. They were horrible with Westbrook at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And Darvin Ham, I mean, man, what a job that he did getting those young guys to buy in and play defense like that.
Yeah, but such a tremendous program. I mean, how many guys' careers got resurrected or rejuvenated? How many guys it arguably could be said that in every sense except the literal, they really had no careers. I mean, you ever heard of you ever heard of Struss before this? You ever heard of Duncan Robinson or, you know, Tyler Hero out of nowhere, Felton? I mean, you ever heard of Caleb? You know, so I mean, you know, just tremendous.
I didn't think much of Hero back in 2020, but I know he's a first-round pick. But you know how these guys, some guys never pan out. Anthony Bennett was a first overall pick. Where's he at now?
Yeah, well, I still remember in college. I still remember in college the nation's leading scorer, Bo Kimball, from Loyola Marymount. Remember, it was him and Hank Gathers, and he like averaged like an obscene 47 points a game in college. And then he got drafted by the lowly Clippers, and they had a big need for not just a scorer but a 2-guard. And you know, the guy never did anything. He didn't last there all that long. And I'm like, dude, you went from 40. You mean you can't at least do 15 a game from 47 to 15? You can't do 12. Nothing.
Right.
Harold Miner was a big bust. Do you remember that?
Baby Jordan.
Yes, they were calling him Baby Jordan. He couldn't even get on the floor. Rob,
I think he won the dunk contest, didn't he?
Yeah, he did win the dunk contest, but that was it. So, you know,
Adam Morrison, look, Mad New Yorker.
Yeah, that's what happened with Morrison. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, good series. And, you know, for the first time, I mean, in general, the NBA playoffs, overall, they're not that exciting in the sense that, you know, the unknown or an unusual outcome happening. I mean, you might get one intriguing series, but in general, it typically goes to form. That wasn't the case this year. So kind of like more of an NFL.
I thought it was great this year. Did you? I thought it was one of the better years of all time.
Yeah. I mean, that Super Bowl.
But...
I mean, that Super Bowl we were treated to. You know, Eagles playing against the Chiefs, and I don't know if I've ever seen anybody play so well in a loss as Jalen Hurts.
Oh yeah. And
that was
you're talking about just for the. I was just talking about the NBA playoffs in general.
Well, playoffs, yeah.
He said
the Lakers pulled off back-to-back upsets. You know, the Warriors, while favored, nonetheless beat a team that had a home court and significantly better record than they did in the in
7 games with the Kings. Yeah.
And you know, Miami taking down Milwaukee,
the 1 and the 2
Boston,
seed.
the Knicks. My Knicks got caught up in that buzzsaw known as the Heat. But you know, when I think about patterns, though, I'm thinking some patterns. You know, like this is like 2 out of 3 times that the Miami Heat have been able to dismantle Milwaukee Buck teams that had better records. This isn't the first time that this happened. Now you remember a couple of years ago that happened en route to them. That was en route to when they lost. That was en route to when they made another when they lost in the bubble. They lost the bubble year in
the Lakers.
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah, but Miami's had some successful seasons. I mean, they were runner-up in the finals. They made the Eastern Conference Finals. I would argue they really should have been last year. They really should have been the opponent for the Warriors if Jimmy Butler would have just drove on Al Horford at the end of that game rather than pulling up for three. You do that on the road, bro. Yeah. You do that on the road. Drive on that dude. What's he gonna do? Bang it over him. But there was that, and now there was the finals runner-up. They're really close. They got a great program going. They just need one more player.
One consistent scorer, Jeffrey.
One consistent scorer could be like a 15-point or 12-point per game. But they need that. They need that, or they're gonna turn into the Atlanta Braves of basketball.
Buffalo Bills.
Well, the Buffalo Bills, right? But yeah, that's true. But remember, the Heat have won some championships. So unfortunately,
Braves,
never did, unless you want to count AFC championships. But who does?
That is true. That is good call. Yeah, you're right, Braves. Yeah,
and the Braves won one. I mean, I still don't understand what that bomb that they had. They only managed to eke out the one championship, but they lost the back-to-back World Series, against the Twins.
They are like the Heat. They always lacked one bat, Jeffrey.
They did, yeah, that's right. Then they got
American League always had the bats.
Yes. Then the next year they managed to get upset by the Phillies, and then finally they beat Cleveland. And you thought it was over. They went back again, and they were up 2-0 on the Yanks. They were. Up 2 games, they were up 5-0 in that pivotal game 4, and still nothing. Back to lose. Back to lose.
Documentary on that, a few months ago, about 6 months of the Jeter documentary on ESPN.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They talked about that game which you're talking about.
Jeter hit a big grand slam against the Atlanta Braves. Man, I still don't.
He's up there with Reggie Jackson in my book.
Yeah.
Mr. October.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Mr. October. Yeah, of course. But as an overall career, I don't believe you can compare the two players, though. I mean, I think Jeter was on a totally different level as far as
he was better than Jackson.
I think he was better than Reggie Jackson. I think he was better than Reggie Jackson. I mean, look, Reggie. Lots of drama in October, without question. Jeter great in October, so is Jackson. Jackson more dramatic in October. But as far as the regular season with the long haul, I think Jackson was batting like around 270 something. Okay. Jeter was over the 300. The 320, 330, somewhere in there. I think he was a better player. I mean, there was some years where he was arguably the better. Yeah. Let me just finish one thought. I think there were some years where he was arguably the best shortstop, certainly within the top 3. I don't think that Reggie was ever considered to be within the top 3 outfielders regular season. But
yeah, it is what it is.
What do you think about? I mean, do you think Miami should be more on disappointment that they lost, or should they be? Look, we had a chance to win. We didn't. We gave it a competitive fight, but we really maxed out. We came close to max.
I'm on that side of it. I got my red tie on. Just kidding. 44 wins, and you get to the finals. There was a stat. They had the lowest point differential ever for a team to make the finals. They had all kinds of crazy records. They've won the most games of any, passing that Knick team, any 8 seed that's ever made in the playoffs in the history. So they just have that one player short, and you have to sell a player to come and work like that and accept that culture. I think what Patrick Beverley said, I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think that players that they get, And I think that player that they get needs to be a backcourt player. It needs to either be a point guard or a shooting guard.
Okay.
You know, I don't think it's gonna, they're gonna get a real. Not that there's a lot of them out there, but you're gonna get a real center and shift. Bam to the 4. I don't think that way. I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be in the back in the backcourt.
Okay. Yeah,
But
you're right. And Damian
for a
Lillard.
second, they released Chris Paul. They released right. I believe they released Chris Paul.
Yeah. Now Paul's got some miles on him. Could you see Paul playing there?
Where? Miami?
Maybe as a backup, maybe
As a backup. Yeah, I could. He could make sense for Miami because if he's healthy, he still can give you the what you need. He could be your solid third option on offense. And then you've got all the other, but then again, if he gets maybe you play him less minutes, play him less minutes so that you try to reduce the likelihood of an injury. But then again, when you're in the playoffs, I mean, do you even really want to have to shelter somebody like that in the playoffs?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think I think he should accept the fact that he's a role player. He's going to be 38. You know?
Yes,
Chad thinks they need a big guy. Karl Anthony Towns may be out there.
They were undersized. Now they were undersized.
Yes, big time, right?
Yeah, they were undersized at the 5. But I'm not quite sure what to do with that because while that's true, I mean, other than Philadelphia, who's not going to be, or maybe Milwaukee, you want to play Giannis against Joker, but who's not going to be undersized against Jokic? Who's not going to be undersized?
6'11" Jokic, 6'10" Michael Porter, 6'8" Aaron Gordon. That's 3 starters right there.
Yes, yeah, right.
That's some big guys.
Anthony Davis, certainly is not undersized, but he's a little bit on the fragile end too.
Yeah.
Who could make sense to Miami? Who could make sense? A center that could make sense for Miami, not necessarily a starter, but another big body who could start, but also give quality minutes off the bench. Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard could make sense, and I've read that.
You think so? Wow.
The Taiwanese team wants him to take. I think it's like close to an 80% pay cut, and he's balking at doing that. And he wants to come back to the league.
I think he's crazy for playing over there. It's dangerous. They might get invaded by China. Let me ask you this. I know we're getting.
I think he can come in and give you some defense, some shot blocking, some rebounding. He can give you another big body, so you got another 6 fouls. The Mad New Yorker saying Howard is cooked, but can he still play? I mean, he's not going to be Dwight Howard, the All-Star. Now, Howard, Kobe Bryant always accused Dwight Howard. Talk about Patrick Beverly saying 50% of the guys don't actually like basketball. Kobe always felt that Dwight Howard was not maximizing his potential.
I didn't think that team had a shot against that Laker team. I'm sorry. In 2010, I think I think Orlando. I was talking about how good Aaron Gordon has fit in with this team, and Orlando at times can be NBA Siberia.
Yeah,
other than the Shaq years, with
other than the Shaq years, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they hit the lottery twice with Penny Hardaway.
I remember. Oh my God, who do you think would have had the better career but for injuries, Penny Hardaway or T-Mac?
Oh, probably Penny. Phil Jackson said T-Mac. Every time you ask him to play defense, because he was compared to Kobe, he said he always come up lame with the injury. Yeah,
the difference between T-Mac when he was healthy and Kobe was. I mean, again, I don't think T-Mac played defense. T-Mac didn't have Kobe's dedication. Then again,
he's very dedicated.
But it was pronounced. Like Kobe was gonna play the total game. He was gonna play solid defense. He was gonna hustle for loose balls. I never had the sense that Tracy was gonna dive or jump and do one of these scoop things. He was never gonna do that.
Kobe's always in shape. Tracy McGrady, he had a smooth shot, but he looks like he was loathed into some. Let me ask you this: can this team in Denver repeat? Can they go on a run?
I think that they can.
Okay,
whether they will or not is different. There's certainly you got to pencil them in as contenders. I mean,
Okay.
just automatically they're contenders. Now, what happens in the second, third, or fourth round? I don't know. And I think that has a lot to do with how does the rest of the league configure? How do the other contenders? What happens in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Who are they replacing when they drop Chris Paul? I mean, are they thinking about Lillard? Or are they thinking about Kyrie? Or what are they going to do at the point guard position? And what's going to happen? What's going to happen in LA? I mean, LeBron and Kyrie coming in, they're palling around. Some would argue stealing the Thunder, the attention away from the finals, and that was. I mean, on one hand, I feel it was kind of classless. On the other, I mean, look, their commitments are done. Yeah. They're in the off season for them, and if they want to catch a game, they have the right to. And it's not their fault if the media picks up that they're in the audience. No difference than Jack Nicklaus being spotted at the stadium would be. So I mean, kind of mixed feeling. But do you think LeBron may go? You think do you think LeBron may go to Dallas? I think not, but
that's been talked about. But he said he would air quote think about it. Playing with Doncic, I think LeBron's a little long in the tooth. 4 or 5 years ago, it may have worked because LeBron can make.
LeBron would just have to. Well, if LeBron went to Dallas, I mean, clearly he would mainly just need to pass, right? I mean, I'm sure he would.
He said he loves Luka. He loves him some Luka. And he said he loves Luka, and he says we know that he's the only guy that can get anything out of Kyrie. So hypothetically,
that could be a great
long in the tooth, man.
Yeah, he is, but that could be a way to extend, though. If you go from the number one option to 3, that could be a way to because he wants to prolong his career because he said that he does want to play 1 year. With at least 1 year with his son.
He backtracked that though. A couple of days later, he's like, you know what? I don't know. He got a foot problem. And
okay. I wasn't aware of the backtrack, but
he backtracked. Yeah, he's like, well, I was just saying that maybe he's got his own life, and then he said something like, "Miss me when I'm gone." He said something on his Instagram a few days later. I think, this is my opinion, he's really contemplating retirement, LeBron.
I think that he is too. There are people that think the other way, that think that, he's just setting it up for leverage to try to, again, push Rob Pelinka to bring Kyrie over there. But definitely, as Chad Collins mentions, going back to Denver, I mean, definitely all the teams are trying to figure out how to beat Denver.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
they ran pretty roughshod in the play. I mean, they swept that Laker team, man.
They really did. But see, that was another series. I mean, 2 of them games were really. I felt the first 2 games in Denver were ultra competitive.
Yes.
But Denver dominated on the road. It was the opposite. They dominated in LA.
Right.
But
and remember, they had a 15-point lead in the Miami game.
But those guys disappeared. The guy, Junior, I forgot his name. Was it Larry Walker Jr.?
Oh yeah, with Lakers.
But he disappeared, man. He disappeared against.
With a real Larry Walker, please stand up.
Yeah, exactly. He disappeared against Walker. Against Denver. Austin Reeves.
He played.
He played some good games, but
he wasn't getting a big contract.
Yeah, I think he should, but he played some good games against Denver. Not all of them, but even when he was playing good against Denver, he wasn't as effective as he was like he played against the Warriors.
Yeah.
But I just think about the Warriors too. What are they gonna? What are the Warriors gonna do?
Man, your guess is good as mine. I'm not with Steve Kerr on this. I think that you're going to have to break up one of the big 3. Obviously, you want to keep Steph, but I would try to deal Draymond Green because of the pool stuff and maybe go after a Dillon Brooks, same size. He's 27. He's a little rough around the edges, but that's what Draymond Green is, no?
Yeah, I agree with that, and he's definitely a lunch pail, blue collar worker type.
He played at Oregon, didn't he? I think he was from the West Coast.
Yeah, but right, but he did it's the same. But what would you want back though? Was you have any concrete ideas like what players would you want back, or even what positions would you want back? I mean, I feel like the Warriors almost need to have
They need some
somebody
size,
inside.
man.
They need some size. You know, do you give up on the kid whose name is leaving me, and as soon as I stop thinking about it,
Jordan Poole, your favorite player?
No, the tall kid, the power forward, the 4. No, I want Poole to get out of there.
Yeah, you're trying. Yeah, you're like Colin Cowherd. You're trying to ship him off to Boston every other day with Colin Cowherd.
Yeah. Well, him to what would Poole for Chris Paul and Ayton? Would that make sense? Then they re-signed to trade. I mean, would that make sense from a Phoenix point of view? I mean, they may be tired of Ayton. They may be tired of Ayton though.
Well, think about with Ayton there. Frank Vogel is very good with big man. Roy Hilbert,
right? I remember
Anthony Davis. Roy Hilbert was huge against the Cleveland Cavaliers when they had a really good
he was, and he was, and then when he left, he was never the same. He was never the same player.
I really like that Frank Vogel hire down there. I don't know what this is exciting. I mean, I'll bring you back there in free agency. You want to come back, man?
Yeah,
it'd be fun stuff. I mean, especially if the Knicks can pull off something big,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, see the Knicks too. I mean, maybe DeAndre Ayton to the Knicks for Julius Randle.
I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the theory would almost be like when the Lions made the trade with the Rams, and they both felt like the other quarterback just needed a change of scenery. But the problem is that it only worked out. It only worked out for one. One.
Well, the other one's a question mark. Detroit looks really good, though. I was talking to a Detroit guy the other day, and I thought they're favored to win their division this year.
Okay. So
maybe they get to the Super Bowl. Crazier things have happened. Denver just won the championship in basketball.
That's very. I just thought of something crazy just now.
Yeah.
Speaking of Denver and winning, I still remember crazy ass Doug Moe as the coach for the Denver Nuggets, and there was against the Lakers. I think it was he was frustrated that his team wasn't putting in effort against the Lakers on defense. I think it was the Western Conference Finals. And so he called a timeout and he ordered his team to stop playing defense. Wow. He ordered his team to stop playing defense, That was I thought that was nuts. That was almost like to go to boxing for a second. Was it Teddy Atlas or different? The trainer for Michael Moore, he felt that Moore wasn't.
I love Teddy Atlas. That probably was Teddy Atlas.
Yeah, then between the rounds, he sat down on the damn stool instead of Michael Moore. Yeah. And Moore's like, "What are you doing?" Well, look, you don't want to fight. You don't want
Teddy Atlas. He'll say personal stuff. Your mother called. She says you're not boxing well. I think he trained Mike Tyson for a little while too. Michael Moore.
Before they had
he's crazy. He's hilarious though. I love that guy.
Yeah, he did have he pulled. Well, he's rumored to have pulled the gun on Mike Tyson and warned him.
Yes, I saw that in a movie. You got anything else you need to plug, man?
Was it his daughter or?
Yes.
We pulled the put it. Stay the hell away.
That was up in Catskill, up in upstate. Yeah.
Yes, it was.
He was staying with Gus D'Amato, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, when Cuss died, I mean, Tyson was never really the same after. Certainly him parting ways with Kevin Rooney was the worst thing he could ever do. Remember that time?
He may have beaten Holyfield.
Yes.
If he had the right trainers, if he had Gus D'Amato, if he had you just mentioned the guy.
Yeah, Rooney. Yeah.
He had those right trainers there. He was going for knockout blows. He wasn't as tactical as he was prior to going to prison. I still think he had it physically. He just didn't quite have it mentally. Anything else you need to plug?
Yeah. Just all right. So what I want to plug, as you all know, I have my nonprofit, Jeffrey Dustwick Foundation for Justice, and working on freeing people, pushing policy changes aimed at preventing wrongful conviction. So the New York State Legislature, they just the Senate just passed the Challenging Wrongful Convictions Act. The Assembly had passed it before that, and that would improve access to attorneys for indigent defendants on post-conviction motions. It would allow courts to consider evidence of innocence. Right now, the way that the court is set up, if someone has pled guilty, and we know that innocent people have sometimes pled guilty. Say you got a terrible lawyer and you wind up pleading guilty, and then subsequent to that, you get a good attorney, good investigator, they find some new evidence of innocence. You would think at a rudimentary level, just a basic instinct, that evidence should be able to be considered, just considered by the court, but that's not how it works in New York. So this bill would address that provision also. So they passed it, but of course, nothing ever simple in New York State Legislature. So the problem is that the Senate version that was passed is different than the Assembly version. So now they got to reconcile the bills and re-vote like as amended, but cautiously optimistic that they're going to do that and that will be passed into law. So there are highlights of me speaking at different press conferences and meeting with elected officials, along with many other colleagues and organizations in support of that. So cautiously optimistic that we may get that law passed. So I mean, it's very hard to pass something. So I do just want to hold up that, and by the next appearance, it'll be clear if that passed. And a potential big surprise out of Pennsylvania. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we'll teaser maybe some really
crossing your fingers.
Cross my fingers. Maybe some good news there by the end of June. But yeah, for sure, when when there's like some major sign or trade or some such like that, definitely would love to come back out on the
I like having you on. I've got your foundation at the bottom of the screen.
Thank you very much. Yeah, people can email me there. You've certainly followed me on social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn is LinkedIn as well. The website has the web form, so I can be found.
Yeah,
so
awesome, man.
Always love coming on and talking sports and showcasing the knowledge. And
you're a great guest, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. So, last thing, I had breakfast this morning, and here's where I got to get the links from you. Maybe the prior Sports Scope appearances, and this one just the links.
Okay.
I had breakfast with I had breakfast with Eddie Gill, who was a former NBA player who does the radio, I believe it is now, for the Indiana Pacers. But there's a TV show also. Had breakfast with him in New York. I told him, hey, by the way, Eddie, I get to do some sports commentary of my own on the Sports Scope. Yeah. And he laughed. I got a thrill out of it. It's like, yo, send me some clips. I'd love to.
I'll send it to you, as many as I can find. I know I got a bunch of them on Spotify. Just give me a minute and I'll look up and I'll send them through to Messenger.
Absolutely. That's the best way to pass it to me. So, hey, thanks again. We had another wonderful session. Thanks for the fans coming out. And I like that your audience is warmed up to me. I'm a people person. So
they all know you now.
Yes,
Corey
they do.
And Bad New Yorker here. Yeah.
Good impression. Yeah. Good impression.
Teddy Atlas.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about me doing, So your mama called. Your head's not in the game. I'm like, he's getting way too personal.
Right. But listen, hey, I believe that Michael Moore won that fight, though.
Michael Moore won that fight. Now, he did get beat by Foreman, though. A 47-year-old George Foreman.
Yes, he did. He was on the wrong side of history on that. I think Big George was like 46 years old, 46, 47, on the wrong side of history, and on that. And but so dubious distinction, but no matter what, I mean, the man wasn't. He was a champ. He was a light.
I like
heavyweight
Michael
champ.
Moore. He's a good guy.
He was a light heavyweight champ. He became the heavyweight champ as well. He beat a Hall of Famer, Evander Holyfield as well. So he was.
He did, didn't he?
Yes.
Didn't he beat like Tommy Morrison too, or Tommy? That Tommy something. I can't remember the guy's name.
Tommy was Tommy Morrison. The boxer was Tommy Morrison. I'm not sure if Michael Moore ever fought Tommy Morrison.
Oh, okay.
I know that. Morrison. I believe Morrison was.
I think he
beat George Foreman when they were just contenders, or was he the one? Or did he fight and take Foreman's belt from him? Remember,
Foreman felt like he won that fight. Yeah.
Right, but did the title change hands on that night, or was that just when they were both contending?
I think no, they're both contending.
Yeah, I think so. I wish we could have saw maybe last time. I keep on the show where I'm welcome here, but I wish we could have saw George Foreman fight Mike Tyson though.
Yes, I hear that movie's going to be good, guys. By the way, for the audience, I want to see that. There's a movie out about George Foreman.
Oh, there is. Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah,
I've been hearing about it. Foreman's a good guy, man.
Yeah, that was. I mean, look, what he did is unprecedented. I don't know that it'll ever, it'll ever be ever be repeated. Just and look, I mean, just having that larger than life. So I mean, he wasn't all that popular when he was in his prime. When his first go around of his boxing career, nobody would imagine that.
I've
He'd be
seen
a
that Ali fight 2 or 3 times on replay. Obviously before my time, but that's one of the greatest fights of all time.
Yeah, it was the rumble in the jungle. They fight at Zaire, but he wasn't. No one could have predicted that he was going to be this larger than life character and like Grandpa and Foreman Grill. Hey, remember Meineke? I'm not gonna pay a lot for this.
And I mean, he knocked down Frazier like 5 or 6 times.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Yeah.
It was like 5 or 6 times.
Like a tree struck by lightning. My dad says that Marv Albert called it on the radio, but I'm not sure. That's before my time. Marv Albert used to call everything, but I will send you those links, including this one. This is a good one, man.
It absolutely was. Thank you so much for having me on the Sports Scope. Have a wonderful night.
All right, guys, and thank you all.